Ask Reddit by the Raven saith. What has South Park been wrong about? Tom Cruise never came out of the closet. Yet. Famously they were wrong about Hillary winning the election and had to frantically make a new episode to air when Trump won. Deleted. The Prince of Canada does not dip his arms in pudding when getting married, it's maple syrup. As is tradition. Deleted. Considering I saw that musical with my mom, I'm glad they were wrong about that one. Paris Hilton's dog did not blow its brains out in the back of a limo. Yet. Remember when they did that whole you can't make money on the internet bit in response to the writers' strike for more streaming royalties? Now they made ungodly amounts of money on their streaming deals over the past several years. They were fighting against their employees unionizing back in 2003 when I knew some people who worked on the show. I don't know if that changed, but they were not into sharing the profits back then. Man Bear Pig was supposed to be imaginary because it was a joke about climate change, then they made it real later on to admit they were wrong. I'm really surprised climate change isn't at the top. That was a big one that seems to be most on the public's minds these days. That the food at Casa Bonita is good. Those of us in Colorado will be sure to update when it reopens. I could be wrong, but I've never seen a Canadian detach their head from their jaw. We don't do it in front of non-Canadians, it freaks them out. Corn does not have special corn powers. Allegedly. Pokemon was not a fad. That whole episode is honestly so much better the older it gets. That was the opinion of a lot of parents and news outlets at the time. To that Pokemon would come and go, instead of being one of the biggest things for what, 28 years? As a redhead, I can tell you that the Ginger episode made a lot of kids' school days worse. Yeah, I got some of that just from being Jewish. Never heard a Jew joke as a kid until South Park. If you put food up your ass, you won't shit out of your mouth. If you have an intestinal blockage, you can in fact, shit out your mouth. Not joking, and it smells about how you'd expect. There was a special South Park episode, an adaptation of Great Expectations. At the time, I believed that the plot closely followed that of the novel and that they just added jokes here and there. In the episode, Mrs. Havisham has a machine that sucks out the hearts of men and boys. Eventually she will use it to switch bodies with the young Estella. At some point Mrs. Havisham transforms into a monster. Decades later, I talked to a friend who had read The Great Expectations and get into how exciting the ending was. I don't think I can ever forget her looks of shock, incredulity and concern she had for me for believing the South Park version to be accurate. Trey and Matt have made clear in DVD commentaries that they were wrong for showing actual sex change surgery footage in Mr. Garrison's fancy new vagina. I 100% remember watching that either on cable TV or maybe in a DVD, can't remember. But definitely remember them cutting to clips of actual surgery. Respecting Eric Cartman's authority. If you don't respect his authority, he will make you eat your parents. Most famously, climate change global warming Man Bear Pig. They used to think it was just Al Gore being alarmist and trying to get attention. Therein, shit started going downhill and they realized they were wrong. So they even made an entire two-parter where they essentially apologized and had Man Bear Pig kill a shitload of people. I love when the scene where they prove Man Bear Pig's existence and the guy's like, okay, Man Bear Pig is real and he's here. What do you want us to do now? They put a lot more effort into their writing than most people realize. I remember reading at one point that the Tourette's Foundation, I may have their name wrong, praised them for accurately depicting the disorder and creating publicity discussion. Piss out my ass. That people can see nuances like Cartman is an asholish caricature and should not be emulated. This applies to many characters in the show, but he's the most obvious. Especially since the show is largely aimed at teenagers, who aren't exactly known for picking up on that kind of distinction. Windows 98 was faster, with better access to the internet. Get Bill Gates in here. Turns out the truth doesn't always lie somewhere in the middle. I scrolled past 100 Man-Bear-Pigs and pithy jokes to find this. They have a long history of mocking anyone who believes in anything. They are hardcore cynics and it shows. I think they also wanted to ride the wave of both sidesism, so they mocked everything equally. This tendency is why they got Man-Bear-Pig climate change wrong. It's a funny show, but I did find their constant "everyone is full of shit and aren't we clever" to notice tiring. Anne Murray is not a bitch after all. She's our Canadian treasure. Family Guy gave her a better treatment. That Family Guy episode would make you think one of the writers just made the episode so they could get a chance to meet Anne Murray. Deleted. We didn't listen. It's Tolkien, not Tolkien. And anyone who thought otherwise is racist. I swear they've started editing the subtitles for earlier seasons on HBO to say Tolkien. I'm still waiting for Paris Hilton to get out of Mr. Slave's ass. In episodes 200 and 201, they're literally just named that too. She's actually out and part of the celebrities complaining about South Park being horrible to them. It's not possible to die 126 times and come back to life every time. Cough Kenny cough. My favorite part is that even though they stopped depicting Kenny die every episode, they've set the implication that it's just such a regular occurrence that it's not worth depicting. Kitty was not, in fact, being a dildo, and had no need to sleep with mommy for the night. Man-Bear-Pig. Yeah, that one went right over my head. I knew they were talking about climate change, but I figured it was so obviously real that they were making fun of people who still denied it in their own ridiculous way. Oh, how young and naive I was. Honestly though, huge respect for them admitting they were wrong with those later episodes. I like LA Croix and don't own a MacBook or Tesla. Shake weight never came on my face no matter how hard I shake it. Spending years with this Tegrity Farms nonsense. Please stop. The worst part about this IMO is the fact that in the last special they released, Randy actually realized how awful he was being, that everybody hated him, and he apologized for it and went back to normal. Then later in the same fucking episode he reverted right back to Tegrity Farms again. Kenny has not enthusiastically embraced his true form as a gay fish. They were wrong about Al Gore. They should have listened to him when Al warned them about Man-Bear-Pig. We should have taken him more serial. Super serial. Xbox winning the console war. Britney Spears still has all of her head. Toyota Priuses were and are kinda nice cars for the price and driven by normal ass people. And the smug, self-righteous douchebag stereotype only seemed to exist in pop culture and news media, and even then only for a couple years. Conversely, the Harley bro thing is basically a true fact. As the son of a Harley owner, they fucking nailed that episode. I mean, even vaguely entertaining the idea that the Iraq war was in any way justified is a massive misstep in hindsight. Hindsight is not required. It was obvious then too. A lot. It seems to Matt and Trey that the worst thing you can be is passionate about anything. Most notably going after Al Gore and climate change. But a lot of times they go after people just because they are passionate about the issue. I have liked the show. But I do feel like having a conversation with either of them about anything serious would be exhausting. https://yahoo.be 8TTTI60-MJQ. They take a both sides are wrong stance when both sides don't have equal footing, and that gives people comfort to maintain status quo. Mr. Garrison didn't actually make a vehicle powered by exercising two phalluses, steered by your mouth on another phallus, while being kept in place by sitting on a phallus. How do you know? Have you met Mr. Garrison in real life? To be honest, their whole shtick was that caring about stuff and having principles is lame and that the only real honest stance is to be jaded and mock everything. It's a very of its time idea, but I think people are mostly over that stuff. Yeah, def Clinton Bush era sentiment.